Right, a short video about strings and stringing your Easimake guitar. And so 3 strings. What we use is the middle 3 strings from the standard 6 strings. We use the strings that are numbered 5, 4 and 3. That's normally tuned to A, that's normally tuned to D, and one's normally tuned to G. Now the tuning that we're using on this is called open G, and which means that we're going to be tuned to G, D and G. These two they'll be tuned to what they're used to. This is an A string which will be tuned slightly lower than normally is. But anyway, first of all, there's your tailpiece. Let's see if we can get the tailpiece in shot, shall we? So, ripping open the packet with your teeth, we take our 5th string first. Unravelling it, and you'll see it's got a ball on one end which it restrains it under the tailpiece. So here, the tailpiece, take the one that's nearest to you in the playing position, thread it through the tailpiece, and the ball stops it coming out any further. We take it up the end. You notice the nut. We're not going to put that on yet because the string actually holds that in place. And we need to put this one through the nearest machine head, the topmost one. Now the thing is, it has to emerge, it goes through a hole one side, out a hole the other side. It's got to emerge so that it follows a line that you may not be able to see. So this gives you a guide. So we need to take about that much through. We need to, and then put it underneath. Underneath itself. This one's being a bit temperamental and it's got a mind of its own. And then pull it tight and actually pull it upwards like that. And it's not a knot exactly, but it sort of locks it into place. Now I want to keep it tight while it's being wound. Now as you see, if we're winding it this way, it is emerging from that side and it follows the line down there. So, and because it has to raise slightly, because of the way a guitar works, keep it tight and press it down on the headstock so that it stays low down on the machine head. This is where a string winder would always come in useful, especially when you're going to repeat the process with the other strings anyway. And after you've done a bit, you can, as you see, we've got a fair bit of slack there. We need a bit of slack because if you don't leave enough, then the string is going to be too tight and it won't, well, it'll snap. Sometimes it's possible to overdo it and have too much, which is a fault of mine sometimes, having too many winds on here, which means it's not likely to snap, but because there's so much string wound round the peg, it can be a little bit temperamental with tuning. but I can't seem to get out of that bad habit. You know, just slips a little bit if you've got too many winds. So as you can see, it's emerging, and by each string. While I'm winding, I'll just explain that little screw there, if you can see that. That's used as what's called a string tree, because the strings always have to rise up in a slope to this bit, which I'll put in a minute, because there has to be a clearly defined length of the string which vibrates. According to what we call the scale length. These are 22-inch scale length, so there has to be precisely 22 inches between that bit where the string starts to vibrate and at the other end down there, the bridge. And so if it just lays across it, then there's not going to be enough of a clear boundary between where it vibrates and where it doesn't vibrate. So that screw there is used for that string to push it down a bit, so that it's not necessary with this one because it rises up quite well itself. Now we just need to wind it not too tight, just so that it'll stay in position. And so at this point we can put the nut in place. And repeat the process with the other strings. When you've got all three strings in, then our bridge can be put in under the strings. But you can't see it from there, but there's a mark. It has to be on that mark because, as I said, we've got a 22-inch scale length, which is the distance from here to here. It's the active part of the string which is vibrating. It's got to be exact for our scale length, so therefore the bridge has to go where the mark is. You'll see it on the actual one that you have, but it's difficult to see on there. Right, that's string winding. Anything else you need to know, give me an email.